one thing that people don't want to talk about is the #1 testosterone killer. Now, I was watching a video the other day, and this guy actually hit the nail on the head. The video was by a guy called James Smith. Forgive me if I got your name wrong. The title of the video was How the Top 1% Are Deceiving You. And in the video he made an absolutely bang on comment. Most of you, millions of people who are following a fitness influencer, are literally following someone with an eating disorder who's on anabolic steroids. And the problem lies is that when you're following someone like this, when it comes to training naturally, of course, that's not possible what they're doing. You get a false impression of this. When you finally realise the truth, a lot of guys are then jumping onto steroids. But there's a problem with steroids. To get the physique that these influencers have got, you've got to keep using them. Now, a thing that I've seen a lot of in the last year online, on forums, various blogs, etc., is that with prolonged steroid use, it takes only 4 months to fully recover your testosterone production. It's fucking bullshit. There was a medical study. They took 100 guys and they observed them whilst they were doing a steroid cycle. Now, one of the requirements for this particular study was that you had to have had no steroids in your system for a minimum of 3 months prior to the commencement of this test. So they took all the baseline testosterone levels at the beginning of the test. They monitored things like luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Now, what they noticed was that they observed the guys during the cycle and then for up to a year after the cycle had finished. Now, what they noticed during the cycle was that basically production of testosterone stopped. They stopped producing testosterone. Basically, the reason for that is the body signals, it detects that there is enough testosterone in the blood, so you don't need to make any more. So therefore it completely stops. And they were able to prove this by noticing that these guys were not producing any luteinizing hormone, and they were not producing any follicle stimulating hormone, which means there was nothing going down to the bollocks and actually making testosterone. Now, the thing is, they noticed also that the sperm count of these guys, more than 60% of the guys had either severely depleted sperm levels or 0 sperm levels, which means they were firing blanks basically. Now, at the end of the test, they noticed, bearing in mind this is one steroid cycle, which was 12 weeks. After this one steroid cycle, they monitored the guys during their recovery. Most of the guys managed to get back their full testosterone production. They managed to reach their baseline levels again. But it took at least 3 months and up to a year for these guys to achieve those results. You think 3 months. Now, the problem is, with you want to look more masculine, you want to look like the fitness influencer you're following, so then you hop on the gear. The brutal truth here is they're not taking 3 months off cycle. They might do a 12-week cycle, a 2-week break, a month break at the most, and then they're hopping back on steroids. So what happens then is they're not fully recovering. So the truth is that with prolonged steroid use, what's going to happen is you're not fully recovering. Now let's be realistic here. If you observe even a 3-month off-cycle period, you'll probably lose most of the gains that you made on steroids. When you look at these fitness influencers, they're not taking that break. They might be taking a short cycle and then they're getting back on them because they maintain their low body fat, their eating disorders, and they're maintaining the muscle mass as well. So basically what happens when you keep on taking the steroids is that your hypothalamus is not detecting, it's not detecting any testosterone in your blood. So you don't need to make any testosterone. But what you do need to do, because everything is balanced out, you need to start making more estrogen to compensate for all that extra testosterone that's in the blood. So now your natural hormone production on steroids is that you are producing estrogen and nothing else, basically, in the quest for masculinity. You're actually feminizing, you're feminizing yourself, you're destroying your natural testosterone productions. And the more you do this and the longer you do this, the greater chance that you will never ever get your natural testosterone back. And that is a harsh reality. That is something that people just don't want to talk about. They just don't want to admit it. It's all swept under the carpet. And if you get somebody like me that brings it to your attention, your testosterone's all made in a syringe, there's nothing made. Your bollocks are just redundant, basically, because you're not actually making any sperm, you're not making any testosterone. So if you care about your testosterone levels, if you're in the life game for the long term, how do you want to be? I'm 50 years old. How do you want to be when you reach 50 years old? Not producing any testosterone anymore? Dependent on testosterone replacement therapy because you fucked your hormones up? Or do you want to be like me? I'm still making my testosterone in my bollocks, in my testicles. So there's a lesson to be learned. Steroids are the #1 testosterone killer. Now, if you want to become optimally balanced in all manners in life, both mentally and physically, hit like and subscribe.